Greetings, YouTube. As many Americans may be aware, at the moment there's a fight going on between the FBI and Apple. And it's over the encryption on iPhones. Now, this all came to a head because of the encryption on a particular iPhone, the iPhone that belonged to a deceased terrorist. And the FBI would like to be able to look at that iPhone, the hard drive, for evidence that may link this terrorist to other people. Now, initially, the FBI asked for Apple to give them a password reset, a completely reasonable request, and Apple complied. The FBI then said they screwed up, they reset the password, then they lost the password. So they can't get into the phone, and if you put the wrong password in 10 times, it erases the hard drive. And they want a backdoor through the encryption that Apple has created, because the encryption is written in such a way that even Apple themselves can't crack it. So they'd have to rewrite the encryption and allow this backdoor into all iPhones that are operating on this particular operating system. And that has a lot of people who are fond of the Fourth Amendment up in arms, and I'm one of them. Because, you see, this isn't about the contents of an iPhone, singular. This is about the contents of all iPhones. This isn't the FBI saying, we'd like to open up this one safe. This is the FBI saying, we would like to be able to open up all safes whenever we want, without the people who own the safes being aware that we're doing it. And that's different than asking to be allowed to open up one safe. Now, there are ways around this problem. For example, the metadata that is available as far as like the calls this phone made, that data is available through the provider, the service provider, whatever company it is that this contract was with, AT&T, Sprint, what have you. They could then tell the FBI, without any difficulty, every phone call for as long as the phone calls have been registered, and I think they have to keep 5 years of them. I can't remember. It's something like that. And so they know, the FBI already knows every phone call that this phone ever made or anyone that ever called into this. So that data is freely available to them already. In addition, I was listening to a security expert, a guy that used to work for the government, that says, well, one of the things they could do is ask for a copy of the hard drive. So they give them a digital copy of the hard drive, even though the hard drive is protected. They could make hundreds, they could make thousands of copies of this hard drive. Then they could do a brute force password crack. Just keep throwing passwords at it. And because each copy would be good for 10 tries before it erased itself, they would have many tries. Eventually, they'd get through. It could take months. Who knows how long it might take. But the reality is, it would still be only getting access to one phone. But of course, this isn't about one phone. The FBI already has, I think, 11 or 12 more phones in the waiting room, waiting for this encryption backdoor to let them have access to it. None of which have to do with terrorism, mind you. And then some other branch of the U.S. government, I think it might be a state branch, has like 176 or something phones waiting for a backdoor to be available. So this isn't about one phone. And the FBI is making us think about this one phone, because this one phone belonged to a terrorist. And telling people that, well, you could be hiding terrorist information, or you could be hiding child pornography, another tactic they've used. They're making us think about this phone because the public is not going to sympathize with the person that used to own the phone. If they were trying to crack into my wife's phone, that would be a lot different. People are like, oh, you have any proof that she's done anything wrong? Well, no. Well, then maybe you shouldn't have access to that phone. But if you say they want to get into the phone that belongs to a terrorist, a known terrorist, there's no sympathy there. So less of the public is going to be upset when you try to get into it and look at the hard drive, which could all possibly have nothing in it, because the really important data is who they were calling and who was calling them, and that is available already. Or they could use copies of the hard drive. Maybe they're trying that now, I don't know. But they could all do this without putting all iPhones in danger. It would all be going after one phone. But this isn't about one phone. This is about getting as much information as possible without the public being aware about it. This is about having government have complete transparency into our data, our privacy, while Americans, of course, citizens, have no transparency looking into what the government is doing. So, yeah, I'm on Apple's side here, and I think most Americans should be. What's interesting is that this is the type of argument, which you could have bipartisan support. Left-leaning liberal progressives such as myself are upset about this, but also Tea Partiers and libertarians are upset because it's a violation of privacy. So you could actually get a lot of Americans behind this. The whole Apple should be supported and the FBI should be fought. I'm hoping Apple wins. I'm hoping that this case doesn't allow the FBI in. But the problem is that Congress could then pass laws that could allow the FBI in. This case, even if it goes in Apple's favor, could still end up costing Apple and us a whole lot. And let's be honest, many members of our Congress in the United States are technically ignorant, if not outright technophobic. They don't understand how technology works. And they don't grasp social media. They don't grasp digital rights. And they're unconcerned about the Fourth Amendment. And the whole, if you don't have anything to hide, you have nothing to fear. That's bull. Our rights should not be violated. Remember, this isn't about getting into through one door. It's about being able to get through all doors. And everybody should be nervous about that. I don't want the FBI snooping in my wife's phone. I don't want the FBI or the NSA or anybody else snooping in anyone's phone. And even if Apple wins this, Congress could just write some laws that eradicate even more of our freedoms. And I know people are going on the left are like, is this okay for us to hate Obama now for this? Well, you can hate Obama all you want. I think he's a miserable president. But his magnitude's better than anything the Republicans have ever put up there. The last good Republican president was Eisenhower. Or if you'll take a cynical humorous slant, Bill Clinton. But we need to make sure that our data is safe. Because let's face it, if the FBI didn't have this phone, there would have still been ways of doing this investigation, and they need to act like that doesn't exist. They screwed up, or they're pretending they screwed up, so that this phone could be cracked the encryption can be cracked forever. And everybody should be fighting that.